Hello everybody, welcome to another in-depth gun review. Today we're going to be taking a look at a very cheap single barrel 12 gauge shotgun. It's made by Baikal and it's sold currently as the MP18, but back when this gun was made, and this is a gun from 1968, so it's quite an old one, they were marketed as the IZH18 or the ISH18. They changed the name at some point. I assume it was to make it easier to say. I think people in the West perhaps prefer the designation MP rather than IZH, maybe a bit of a mouthful. And as I said, it's a very cheap single barrel shotgun that somebody's done some interesting things to. As you can see, it's got a rear sight and a compensator on the front. I'll get to that later. Now, as I just mentioned, this gun was made in 1968, and it doesn't actually say that anywhere on it, but I worked it out from the proof marks. You can look up the proof marks and see exactly when it was proofed. So this is an old gun. This is a 50-year-old gun. You don't see a whole lot of really old ones of these on the market because they tend to be the kind of gun that you use, you kind of wear out, and you kind of dispose of them. These aren't really the kind of guns you bother selling on because they're not worth very much. Brand new, they're a few £100s. This one I got for £20, which kind of proves my point that after they're kind of quite well worn, they've seen a lot of abuse. They're not the kind of thing people want to be paying much money for, but I still think £20 was a very good price. That is exceedingly cheap for something that's actually quite a useful, handy gun to have. So let's have a look at the markings on it. Compared to the modern guns that have Baikal written on them, this is an older one. I'm not actually sure if they were sold under the Baikal name back then. So let's just have a look if I can get it to focus. Go on. There we go. So there's the, I'm not sure what that says, something ISH18. Made in USSR. I quite like that it says made in USSR. I think that's quite cool. And how about on the other side? Looks like that's the same. Again, I'm not sure what's going on with the focus here. There we go. ISH18 made in USSR. That's really the only thing you could possibly call ornate on this gun is that tiny little bit of sort of scroll work there. Let's have a look at the markings. So it's got a British nitro proof. Let's just close it up because it's swinging around and I can't hold it still. It's proof to 3 1/4 tons per square inch. It's a 12 bore, as I mentioned, and it's only chambered for 2 3/4 inch shells. I've got a couple of different loads here, which I have shot through this. I haven't really fired anything powerful for it. It's a very lightweight gun. It can't weigh more than, I'd say, 2 kilograms, maybe 2.5 kilos. Haven't actually weighed it, but it's incredibly light. So I really wouldn't want to shoot anything too heavy for it. I've just been shooting these sort of clay loads, 28 gram, so 1 ounce, bird shot, and these 30 gram, what are these, 6 shot, so just light stuff. And yeah, really handy, nice gun. Be interesting to shoot something a little bit heavier for it and see what it's like. This one has been fitted with a recoil pad. I'm not sure if this is from the factory or an aftermarket one. I think it's probably an aftermarket one. Yeah, it's got a different brand name on it. So it's just a squidgy rubber recoil pad, so that definitely helps. But being such a lightweight gun, you wouldn't really want to shoot anything too heavy through this. So this one cost me £20, and as you'd expect, it's not in amazing shape. It's in pretty rough shape, but it's one of those guns that it just doesn't matter. It doesn't bother me in the slightest. So yeah, it's seen a fair amount of use. Most of the checkering is completely flat. There's no sharp edges to anything anymore. and it was quite rough to begin with. These aren't known for being particularly high quality guns. You can see the checkering kind of goes outside the lines a fair few times. But for the kind of gun that this is, which is the kind of thing that you chuck in the back of a truck and just kind of keep handy, it's really what you expect. When I bought this, a guy was saying to me that in America, Mossberg is the kind of the farmer's gun, you know. You're not too worried about the condition. You chuck it in the back of your pickup. And in England, I think these have the similar kind of reputation. These are the cheap farmer guns that you, for rough shooting, that you really don't have to worry about too much. And part of that is that they are just built so solidly. For a very cheap gun, it is incredibly solid. It's tight on the face. There's no movement anywhere once it's locked. Once it's opened, it's got a little bit of wobble to it. But really built like a tank. And these also have, I believe, chrome-lined barrels. Certainly very shiny for the age and for the amount of use this has seen. Yeah, I believe these are chrome-lined barrels, so the barrels should last a long while, which is good. Now, as you might have noticed when I broke the gun open then, this is a non-ejecting gun. I believe the new guns, you have a selective ejector / extractor. This one just has an extractor, which just rises up as you open the gun there. And as I said, it's a 2 3/4 inch gun. So just your short shells. Now, there are a few things that make this gun unique that somebody has done to it. There's also something that makes it unique because of its age, and you don't see this on the modern Baikal shotguns. The trigger is articulated, and I don't know why. I'm not sure what purpose that serves. Let's just double check it's empty. The trigger doesn't contact anything, so it's not like you need that for clearance, or I'm really not sure what that's about. I don't know if it's a safety measure. So if you drop the gun, I don't know. I really am not sure why you'd need that. But it is actually quite a nice trigger. It's got kind of a brown finish, and it's very smooth. Got a very smooth face, very thin trigger. Trigger pull on this isn't actually too bad. Note that when you crack the gun open, it cocks the hammer and opens it. It's with this lever here. It's very stiff, whether that's because of the age or maybe they've changed the design on the newer ones. But yeah, if I just dry fire it. So this both cocks the hammer and opens the gun. It is stiff. I can do it fine, but my girlfriend struggles with it. So you crack it open like that, and this little loaded indicator, or at least cocking indicator, pokes out like that, which is nice because it's right there, so you can feel it with your thumb if you're maybe shooting in the dark. Very quick indicator to know that your hammer is cocked. And you can actually decock these if you like. If you close it, pull the cocking lever back, pull the trigger and slowly release, you can safely decock these, but be careful if you're doing that on a loaded chamber. Wouldn't recommend it. I'd just do that if you've unloaded and you want to lower the hammer. What was I saying? Yeah, quite stiff. Cocks the hammer, opens it, pops the extractor out, and yeah, trigger pull's not too bad actually for a very cheap old shotgun. A little bit spongy, but once you get past the sponginess, it breaks pretty cleanly. Quite nice actually. And you've got a little manual safety here, just your usual push button style, pushing it from the right through to the left is fire. Got a serial number on the cocking lever there. Got a little wooden cap on the pistol grip. And now let's have a look at how you take the gun apart. Not that it's that special, it's pretty much the same as any other shotgun of this style. Take it apart, you've got another serial number in there, and then just break it. It comes apart just like that. Now while we have the barrel off, let's have a look at what one of the previous owners has done to this. Originally these would have come with a variety of barrel lengths, and if you're familiar with UK law, on a shotgun certificate, your barrel must be at least 24 inches long. Now, this one would have started out being a longer barrel, but at some point somebody has chopped it down and fitted this compensator, which doesn't have any maker's markings on, so I assume it's handmade. Certainly could be from the crudeness to some of the cuts that have been made on it, particularly here. Have a look at that. That's a bit of a strange looking, it looks like they've gone a little bit too far. So I assume this is a handmade gun, it's a handmade muzzle device, but it's on there very solidly. And let's give it a quick measure, make sure it is indeed long enough. So the actual barrel seems to go to about here. So the actual barrel is about 20 inches. So if that was there alone without the compensator, this wouldn't be something I could legally have on my shotgun certificate, and it would have to be on a firearm certificate, which I don't have permission for. Luckily, it has a permanently fixed compensator, which brings it just a tiny bit over the minimum 24 inches required. I think that's quite cool. This compensator is light. I'm not sure. I assume it's made out of mild steel, but it's certainly lighter than the material that the barrel's made out of. Makes the gun balance quite nicely. It's a very light and handy gun, and this is pretty much the shortest shotgun you could get without it being a firearm shotgun in the UK. Now, what this does when you're actually shooting it, it tends to spread the noise out. That was something I noticed when I was firing it, compared to most of the double guns people were shooting when I took it and got some clays of it. You really hear noise coming out the side, which is quite strange. I had a few of my friends shoot it, and it has a unique kind of noise that comes out. You can tell when someone's shooting this compared to a more conventional shotgun. I think it looks really cool though, and what it does give you, and this is quite clever, there's a hole in here and they've threaded in a front sight. So as opposed to just having a bead on it, this gun has a proper front sight post, which doesn't seem to be removable. I was tempted to try and unscrew it, but I think they've glued it in pretty well, so I'm just going to leave it. And what they've done to accompany the front sight is they've actually dovetailed the receiver. So they've obviously they've milled a slot with a dovetail cutter. And they've done it quite nicely, actually. It's pretty square to the action. Maybe slightly off, but close enough to not matter. And they've put in this adjustable rear sight, which matches the height of the front sight very nicely. Let's have a closer look at this rear sight. Of course, this is completely unnecessary for a shotgun, unless you're going to be shooting a solid projectile for it, which I'm not able to do with my shotgun certificate. It's actually an elevation adjustable rear sight. So what that's from, where they got that, I don't know, and why they decided to do this, I don't know. But I think there's something quite appealing to having proper sights on a shotgun. I've got plenty of other shotguns set up for sporting use, with just beads on them, various things, but yeah, it makes quite a nice change to actually have some proper sights. So let's have a look. I might need something to, there we go, highlight the sights. Now, how do we do this? There you go. So you've got a nice big square at the back and a little post at the front. And it does shoot pretty dead on. I was able to hit some clays with this. It isn't as fast or as easy as a bead, that's for sure. But it's unique. And for £20, to get something that's quite useful, it's handy, it's reliable, and yeah, something that's quite unique, actually draws a bit of attention. I just absolutely love this. I find it quite odd that I have a few guns that are worth quite a bit of money. My Ruger cost me about £1,000. I'm going to do a review on that. It's got a built-in moderator and it's in a Magpul stock. It's quite a cool gun. But this is the gun that I actually get out and fiddle with and want to shoot more than that, which is odd. I sometimes find it's the cheaper, simpler guns that I am most attracted to. And yeah, I think this was just a great purchase if I can tell you one thing to kind of take away from this video. Go to some of your local gun shops and just see what cheap stuff they have that they kind of don't think anyone's going to buy, because a lot of gun shops and a lot of gunsmiths have just this kind of thing sat out back, and they're not going to bother advertising them online, because, you know, who's going to look at an advert online and want to actually drive over and buy a shotgun like this? Most people don't. But there are so many of these sat in back rooms, you know, that people have got in trades, and they're just excellent guns, especially these Baikals. I can't speak for other brands of single shots. But yeah, just a great all-round gun. And it's so nice to have something that you can chuck about and you don't have to worry about damaging it, because these are built like tanks. So, I hope you've enjoyed the video. Got lots more on the way. And subscribe. Thank you.